Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 252 of Kouryer podcast. Our today's guest is Mr. Rodrigo Castro. He's a senior environment artist at Impossible Objects Studio, and he also has an interesting background in architecture, which we're going to talk about it in the podcast as well. And we're having this call from Mexico City. And of course, before we get into the signature questions of the podcast, let me quickly mention that in the for contact section of the captions, you can find the ID to his Instagram account, the links to his ArtStation Twitter, and also Linktree, which of course, the Linktree contains all the other links, they're nested there. And a very interesting link to a recent article of AT Level website about one of his recent projects, which we're going to talk about, the procedural 3D scene with Japanese vibe, which we're going to, talk about it as well. And with everything out of the way, how are we doing today?
Hey, thanks for having me here. It's great to be here, honestly. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. And there's so many things that we're going to dive into today. Like, I'm so excited because as a junior environment artist myself, I'm really, excited to, talk to you about some of the technical stuff you've been doing. And before I get super excited and just jump into the technical questions, let me just start off with the main, starting question of the
Sure.
podcast, which is, give us a little introduction on how we got into the world of visual arts and design. Basically, tell us your origin story, if how you basically decided to become an artist or you became an artist.
Yeah, it's very curious because when I was very little, like very very little, I had a camera and I did a lot of stop motion with Legos. Like these little guys. And I was doing like and photo, and then I just get into Paint and just add like subtitles, and then mix them all and do like a lot of animations when I was like 13 maybe. And also I had like this little we have like post-its sheets, and I was like drawing and then turn one page and drawing another page, and I was doing like little animation, but I didn't know that was like a job in the future. So I was like just exploring that type of animations. And also I did like a lot of animation with paint. I was doing like stick paint animations. I already have, I have some of them in my disc. I can show you later. And I was doing that when I was young. And then when I was like, I needed to go into the university, I was like, what do I can study? I am from a little city called San Luis Potosí, and we didn't have like animation university or stuff like that. So it was easy for me just to study something like architecture. Why not? My brother was uh, interior design, no, industrial designer. So I was just looking at his 3D work, and I was like, that can be good, but maybe architecture is the good way for me. And that started my journey. But after that, uh, I get uh, I get out of architecture and started doing 3D, looking at some of the movies. I was like looking how they do movies and with what programs they are using that. And I was just using 3D for renders in architecture, and I decided like that can be a good path for me just to choose. So I just started learning and learning by myself, and yeah, that bring me to here.
All right, awesome. And were you originally studying art and design, or you were pursuing another career path? Like initially when you were in high school, was it like maybe you were thinking of, maybe because of your family or whatever other factor there might have been, you've been thinking about maybe I should go to a safer route and have art on the side? Was it like that, or like you from the get go, you just wanted to go, to like get a creative career?
It's rare because my parents are they studied chemistry. I have six brothers, five brothers and one sister, and the older was also chemistry, and then the second one was interior design, and then psychology. And I was like, what do I need to study? I don't know. And normally you're like 1 month before you need to enter. It's like you need to decide right now what do you want to study. So I was just searching information of a lot of careers, like marketing and I didn't know how what to study. So at that time, I was just when I did some traveling or when I was on the street, I was used to take photos from buildings. So my mother was like, "Oh, you like architecture?" And I was like, "Maybe." And then I have a cousin that she's architecture. So I went to his like office and saw like his little models of houses, and I was like, "Oh, that's like Sims," and and I remember like I was playing a lot of video games like Sims, and I was like, maybe I can like if you do this for working, maybe I can work for that, like doing 3D modeling. And then when I started the journey of architecture, I was like, okay, this is not like what it's not only 3D. You need to learn all of the stuff of structural stuff and maths and design and yeah. So that was something about the path of why choosing this.
Yeah, that sounds kind of interesting. And well, here's another interesting thing that in the introduction I mentioned that you have background in architecture, um, and of course you mentioned how you went about and actually studied architecture. But if we have to now, like for the people who are seeing your works, in the reel above us on YouTube, or they're seeing your posts and works on Instagram right now. Uh, of course, in the introduction, I also mentioned that you're an environment artist, but here's what I want to ask: like, if you had to, pick one specific thing that you think you consider yourself to be really good at, out of everything else, what would that be? Would that be, making cinematics? Would that be just environment design? Would that be, 3D modeling? Like, what is your main specialty? Like, and tell us about your journey of how you started in that, how you decided to be that thing till now.
Yeah, it's curious because I have not like decided yet because in my interior and in my act of everyday doing is like I love cinematics. I love having a camera and just film stuff, and I love and in Unreal Engine you can just film inside a 3D model, so you can do a cinematic every day if you want in your computer. So I love that, but it's uh, it's a true that I am very fast and very good at environment design and environment creation because my whole career I have been doing like architecture and environment and modeling and textures because in the architecture field I was like not just doing walls and that I was just also doing shaders, lighting, uh, and a lot of things that are not just the whole space and that's all. So I am very good at environment. I am very fast on the environment. That's what I do for work. But for my passion and for my um, auto discovering is like cinematics. I love to do cinema and tell story like storyteller. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because recently I had some actually right now I would call him my friend. Like I had someone from Iran, like Elirza Fatahi, and this guy is a wizard when it comes to Unreal and making cinematics in Unreal. So I mean, hope like he's improving his English skills. So thankfully, hopefully, you can ask him and get his guidance. Even if you have questions from him, like he is doing amazing jobs with Unreal Engine. He's been working with it since 1998. Episode 250 was
Wow.
actually with him. Yeah, and I'm sure you're gonna really enjoy listening to his words as well. I mean, his episode
Sure.
unfortunately was in Farsi, so you wouldn't understand. But if you contact him, email him, or message him, I'm sure you can have a conversation with him or something.
Sure. Sure. I,
And yeah, go on. You want to answer
no.
something?
Yeah. No. You just let. And that's what I am just like doing on these last two projects I have uploaded. I do like the environment that is very fast, and I am just learning this procedural thing. But at the end, I am not just showing the environment, and that's all. If you have looked at the projects, I just do the camera and I do the like the animation of the robot. I add music and sound and so just don't make the same environment and just renders and that's all. So I try to give it a little bit of cinematic on those projects also. It's like cool to mix them both environment and cinematics.
Yeah, awesome. And speaking of cinematics and just environments, how does your design process usually go anytime you want to start working on a new project? Like, basically, what does the structure of your pipeline look like anytime you want to start working on a new piece, basically?
In the what? In the news what?
Uh,
The last
Whenever
thing?
you want to start working on a new piece, what does the structure of your pipeline look like? Basically,
Okay.
what steps do you take? Uh, in what order do you take those steps? To get the final result, basically.
Yeah. If there's if I am going to do like a bigger cinematic or bigger like history, I definitely start writing like what's this character history, what is he going to do, like a little bit of directing and writing, but I don't do like a whole book. I just do like maybe one or two paper sheets and I write like the whole story in letters, and then I start blocking and doing directly in 3D. Sometimes I do like storytelling and storyboard uh, drawing, but I am not very good at drawing, so I just do like little little stickmans and little phrases, so where the camera direction will go and that. But then I go directly in 3D. Sometimes I use Blender for that because it's very fast just to do like a little capture and just move the camera in there. And after I have the characters, I have something like a little bit of dialogues or maybe just the story I want to do. Then I go to the 3D and say, okay, how do I need to build this? Should I buy a asset or should I create that from scratch? Because there are some. If I want to post something in 10 days, I cannot do everything by myself. I need to go somewhere and buy some assets, or just use the 3D that Megascans has and just create an easy environment. And then I go in the camera and then I just start doing the magic of cutting and resembling all the sequence and everything from there.
All right. And speaking of design process, now I want to, right now I want to ask you about some general stuff, like, about your work and just your experience. To be honest, like the first thing I want to talk about and ask you about is to tell me about your tell us a little bit about your recent project, the procedural 3D scene with the Japanese elements that was on it. There was this robot thing on a kayak. Like, tell us about like how that idea came up and what are some of your biggest challenges you faced that project, and also what were some of the biggest lessons you've learned making that.
Yeah, everything started because at work, Luke, the one that is my lead technology of impossible objects, was telling me that, hey, have you seen PCG stuff? Can you do this little test? And I was like doing this test for work, and it was like very crazy to understand this node procedural like this spaghetti, and then I was like, okay, if I can do this, I can do that, and then I can do that, and I started like thinking, and I just saw this guy from YouTube. It's called Free Time Coder, I think, and he has like a lot of explanation on how to use PCG, and I just started doing like normal stuff like
Is it
how
like
do
a?
you
I'm sorry. Is it like an Unreal feature, or is it like another outside, third-party software?
PCG is inside Unreal, and it's maybe like a mini Houdini that you can connect A to B and do like a
Yeah,
blueprint.
like geometry nodes in Blender, I think, right?
Yeah, and you can attach that to a line or a box and do crazy stuff like very easy. But you need to think how is this going to be like related one to be. So the first project I did, it was this train. I don't know if you saw that. It's like you have a camera and you have like a train track, and I did like 3 or 4 PCG for that. I was doing the trees, the actual train track, and some other stuff. And then it went very well in the media, and it was like going growing very crazy. But I was like very rushed because of this tool. So I just post that, and I literally that day I started a new one, and and it was 1 week when I posted, and the same day I started, and I delivered the next one in the next week. So it was like two combos in 2 weeks. And the other one is I was like, okay, I need to do a little bit more, not just grass and trees. I need to do rocks, and maybe do a little bit of more camera movement, and just not having the camera going from A to B, just from A to B, but having a character and maybe water and maybe something more special. So that's why it calls. And actually I am just working the third one. It's like because it has been like a lot of movement, so I just did one in 1 week, the second one in the second week, and right now I'm working a third one. It's going to be cool.
Sounds awesome, man. And also, like, how has, your background in architecture really influenced your work as well? Like, I'm kind of interested to hear about that.
Well, it's sometimes in the past I was like saying like I hated studying architecture and I wanted to study like cinema or different things. But at the end, I think it's very good to know, like, because I studied architecture, so I know how the spaces are constructed and how big is a door. Like, like sometimes there are like 3D modelings there, and they don't know how big is a door, or a room or a bed, and you see like very different on scale. So I think I I say I will be. I am very grateful for knowing how big spaces are, and maybe that's what I can say is my biggest thing of architecture. Like, and the lighting also, like, if you see architecture, you just need to. I did a lot of architecture interiors and exteriors, so lighting changes beside the world, and you can have like a little sensitive on how is it the real world and transfer that to the 3D world. So it's great, I think.
Yeah, and another thing is, like, do you have, like, an idea in your head about like making a short movie on a reel that you haven't made yet? Or like, basically, the reason I'm
Yeah.
asking is that I want some exclusive sneak peek into your future projects. For anyone who's listening to this podcast, could you explain to us if there's anything else going on?
Yeah, I am working on something, but it's very difficult because I am like a one man army, so I need to do like everything, and I did two little short movies. Well, they are not short films; they are just like one trailer. It was also very good. It's named Jingu. I don't know if you have looked at that. It's one of my main artworks in there because I worked on that like 1 year on that trailer, and after that I was like, okay, this is a lot for just one people. I need more people to join and make maybe just do more short films. And then there was another one that it's called Kill Them All. It's a little short film, or like a shot where you see like a devil witcher and like Diablo, and she's like saying kill them all, and she kills a human in there. And also that was for a challenge, and also that one was all by myself. Just the environment is from a friend of me, and I have been working for a short film in my free time, but it's like I have been working for 1 year, and I haven't had anything yet because it's like super big. It's like 8 environments and 3 characters, and a lot of voices, and so yeah, I have it somewhere there, but it's not like going to be on the internet like very soon. I need help, and maybe I am just deciding to continue doing like little ones, or give it a try and do the bigger one in a while.
Yeah, and now, here's a really interesting question, which is, Who are some of your favorite artists and designers that have inspired you the most?
Yeah, I have a lot of them, and what I was saying last time, last minute, Sava Sivkovic. I don't know if you know him. I think you know Sava Sivkovic. He's a little a very big influence in me because he was also studying like design, interior design, and he's now doing like productions with big studios like for Destiny, and he works in a big studio as the director, and he also does his own personal projects very big, like irradiation. Like I don't know how to spell that, but it's like his film Irradiation. But I was listening to him in a podcast, I believe, and he was saying a very good truth of this. Start doing something that you can achieve, and not something that because I am doing right now. I am thinking on the big step, but he was saying a very good truth. Do whatever you want to, whatever you can, and finish, and don't let a project behind just because you cannot. So start little and then start growing with the team. So that's one of my favorite artists in there, and I have another ones like Ash Thorpe is a great artist too. And also it's very I need to say it, but my friends they are very great. All the L3D studio because we are not studio, but they are like very nice and great artists in there. Also, I love their work too. So yeah, I that's
All right. And now here's an interesting question, which is, what is the main subject of your artworks that made them interesting to you? Because like you've been doing a variety of themes through your works, from medieval settings to fantasy settings to sci-fi settings. I saw like one kit bash challenge of like cyberpunk kit bash challenge in your works. Like it's been like all over the place. But which genre has influenced you the most and is your favorite actually out of everything?
um it's difficult because I love like all aspects of expression of art, but mostly you can see that all my work is like realistic. It's not like Fortnite. Like Fortnite is like stylized, so I don't do like stylized. I do more like realistic in that side, and I like fantasy, not just like well, both of them because I would love to do like a very good scene where two people are talking and like very natural, but on the other side I just want to do a robot fighting with a samurai and do like fantasy worlds and but but most of my job I think it's like natural and real worlds and not like very fantasy like very on the future. So yeah, I don't know if that was the question.
Yeah, no, I actually understand what you mean. Like, um, it's not like one like I think for you it's not like one genre is better than others. It's just you enjoy different aspects of each of them. Like they're kind of like it's hard to compare them. I think that's what you're trying to say, right?
Yeah, because I love movies that are without any fantasy. I just two or three characters in the normal life, and they look, and the lighting of and the camera is great, and I love that movies. But I also love like fantasy movies or yeah, with powers and stuff coming out of the sky and like yeah, both are great. Everything is great actually. Also, stylized. I love to watch stylized, and actually, I love anime. But it's difficult to translate the anime in 3D and do like the same aesthetic. So I'm just going more into realistic. I made a One Piece.
Yeah, I was gonna actually say that the One Piece one.
Yeah, I was like, okay, how do I do my art with a anime character and not looking like other anime or like real life? So I mix like a little bit of stylized, but more like realistic. And I just if I cult, I just will be doing a lot of anime in 3D in Unreal, but it's like very difficult. They are like stretching parts and they have like powers, and it's very difficult for me to just do that in 3D like myself.
Yeah, and what are you working on right now that you can tell us about? What kind of project is it? I mean, in terms of theme of it, like, yeah, of course, if it's not under NDA, what can you share with us about your like current projects you're working on?
For my personal projects, right? Or
Both personal projects and also like anything you're working in the studio. Like, if you can, of course, share.
yeah, well, in the studio right now, I don't know. I cannot tell you right now what we're working on, but we have been working a lot of. The one that came out is like Toyota. We do a lot of commercials back in Possible Objects, like for cars and products and some of that. And in my personal work, I am doing a I am doing this PCG procedural thing, and I wanted that with one line, just one line. Well, there are two actually, but you can build a trenches, like a word trenches. So I have a bunch of assets in just one line, and I can just start moving the line, and the trenches is building by itself. And I have a second line, but it's like the over part of the trenches, like it has trees and dead trees and fire, and and I am taking this little robot I did on the same on the other project, as he was like a soldier, and he's like walking on the trenches, and he's like looking for escape, and then it comes a tank, and it's like a little different situation. It's not like, oh, I want to be in that place. It's like a movie scene that you can feel the robot like suffering, and there's bombs coming down the sky. And yeah, the trenches are very great, powerful with the PCG, because with one line you can just put another node, and the trenches are going to cover that line very well. And the line has also the floor, boxes, a little bit of assets in there, puppet around. It's great. It's great. It's going to be good.
All right, awesome. And now we talked a lot of technical and art technical questions and art related questions. Now I want to ask you this: what area beside the area you're working on right now, which is of course in the realms of art and design, would you be interested to explore and learn in the future? Like, basically, what other non-art related stuff you got going on in your life that you want to pursue more in the future as well?
Um, well, I would love to do the same, but in the real life with cameras. I love to go and take photos, but I haven't done like videos with my camera, and that's something I will really like to explore, like doing like cinematic videos with my camera and somewhere, and just film people, and maybe uh, have two friends talking, and maybe do like a little movie set. But that's something I haven't tried, just photos, and maybe that's something I will try. And also sculpture and ceramic. Ceramic, yeah. So no, it's not ceramics. Pottery. I don't know how
Pottery.
to say it. Yeah,
You mean
pottery. Yeah,
pottery? Yeah,
no,
making like vases or cups.
yeah. I have actually here. I have some
Oh,
shots. But I have done like three or four like plates and little like jars. I don't know how to say it, but I love to go out there and just relax and do like, okay, now I will go and do a
man, it's kind of
something.
hypnotizing because something is just moving and moving and moving, and just looking at it, getting hypnotized.
Yeah, and it's crazy how with your hands you can build something, and then it it's hard the other day, and and you can just use it for a soup, or just having some snacks in there, and it's crazy. It's like whenever someone came to my house, I am like, hey, look at this jar, it's mine. I did it. It's great. You can feel it. And yeah, I love to do that. And also sculpture, I am just practicing with clay, and I have just like little heads of people, and well, not people. I just make Groot, the one of Marvel. No, Marvel, not Groot. I'm Groot. That guy. I don't know of
Oh yeah,
the. Yeah, I did the head, and I am just doing some
sculpting.
yeah, sculpting with clay and
Yeah,
doing some figures, and also I'm just starting learning stop motion, but with a real physical, how do you say, a little play toy, and I am
Play-Doh.
no, like you know this One Piece and anime, and you can buy the little toy, and it
Ah, the
has,
action figures. Yeah,
yeah, action figure, yeah, that's right. So I'm just learning how to make, for example, the light needs to be like very dark, and it doesn't need to have like a flickering of lights somewhere. So I need to stabilize the camera and do like movement and photo, movement and photo, movement and photo, and it's very like it's very tedious if you are not like, if you don't like that, but it's like very relaxing if you are like, one day you're like, okay, I will move 3 seconds and move and photo and move and photo, and it's like very chill. And I like that. I want to do like animation of with that, and I was just thinking maybe I can put a green screen behind the character and put it inside Unreal Engine, and that will be like crazy, like like mixing both
that's actually
3D.
like, kind of thinking outside the box. That's actually really cool. But shouldn't for the like the green screen, the lighting should be the same on each scene?
Yeah, I know, but maybe I can just, maybe there's some guy that can
Yeah,
fit the
because of the
same light.
shadows as well. Because if like the characters and the elements in the scene, you have to move them. Of course, they're going to cast different shadows. But as long as I don't think they would affect the green screen, I think they should be fine. I'm not an
Yeah,
expert. I'm just assuming. You know.
yeah, or maybe I can put a big monitor behind, and maybe do like virtual production but in miniature, like
Maybe.
that will be great. Yeah.
Definitely give it a shot. And well, we've reached the final question and section of the podcast, which is called Time Capsule. And all right, so basically, like, here's how it goes. In your whole experience of life that you've had, if you could distill and summarize some of the biggest lessons you've learned in your life, and you would say to anyone who might listen to this part of the podcast at any point of time in the future, like basically from now on till God knows how many years after, from a human being yourself to any other human being that might listen to this podcast, what do you have to say? Like what are the most important takeaways and lessons from the life that you learned?
Yeah, well, I still need to learn a lot of things by myself, but what I can say right now is like, for as you can see, for me, personal works are for me my best situation. If you saw in my Instagram, I don't have any work for any other company in my Instagram because it's mine. It's my art. It's my what I want to express. So what I can say is just work on whatever you want to do, like for your work, and if you don't have, there is always, people always say there is no time for this, but you have always time, a little bit of time every day or every week to work on something that you want to express and say and make. So just start doing that, and at the end you will have like a lot of projects that are all yours, and they are not from a company that says what to do and what to express, so that's one of the things. And just practice, like practice every day. If you really want to do uh, 3D or things, you need to practice every day, so you're not like, yeah, because it's very very tedious sometimes, but it's like you need to do it if you want, and practicing. But yeah, I think that of the personal works is the one that I really recommend. Do personal works every time you want, and every time you can. A little, just seconds of personal words, like something you really want to say and express.
Yes. So the big takeaway I can get from your words is that the most valuable work you're going to do in your life are the personal works that are going to speak to you on a personal level as a form of expression. So that should be something really important that you should take into consideration when it comes to doing work. So because like all the work shouldn't be just studio works and commissions and stuff like that. It should be something meaningful that 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 when you're going to die someday, at least you knew at least you expressed yourself before that.
Yeah, and
And
I am not telling that is you need to do it like by yourself. I am just telling you that do whatever you like it and you are very fond of doing it. Because if you not do that for money or because there are a lot of people that I have a friend that he's always suffering. He's like, oh man, I am doing a lot of architecture again, and I am like, just change it, just go out for another field. And he's like, no, they give me money, and I am like, okay, but if you start doing like your own whatever you want to do, and you get one client of that, you will be very happy to have that client doing whatever you want and not working just for money in something that you really don't want to get involved, you know.
yeah, definitely. And that's some words to actually meditate on for a lot of people who are listening as well, and myself as well. And well, with that out of the way, thank you so much for coming by for this episode. Where can people contact you if they had any questions? Is there an Instagram account? Okay.
Yeah, I normally post in my Instagram. It's Rodrigo Cascas, Rodrigo
Yeah, it's down in the
Cascas.
captions, by the way, for anyone who's
Okay,
wondering.
so that's my main network. I really post most in Instagram beside another web. So, and thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here in
Oh, my
my
pleasure.
first
My pleasure.
my first
Thanks so much.
podcast in my life. So it's
Yeah.
great.
And
Thank,
well, with that out of the way, thanks so much for coming by. And thank you to anyone who tuned in and listened to this episode as well. I hope you enjoyed it. Today is 16th of November of 2023. It's 8:01 p.m. Turkey time, Istanbul time. And what time is it right now in Mexico?
right now it's 11 a.m.
Wow, exactly 11 a.m. Okay. And yeah, people, I'm probably going to upload this episode like sometime in the next week by like, by the measure of the time I just mentioned. So if you're listening, I don't know what time or date you're listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and take care, everyone. Stay safe, and till the next episode, which I'm actually going to record tomorrow. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.